And without that, I'll be glad to introduce my colleague, Katie Leclerc, and I'll just let you take it from there.
Thanks, James. Yeah, just to introduce myself a little bit, I'm a compliance consultant for data integrity in life science at GxP-CC, and I worked for 10 years as a researcher in translational medicine, and now I use that lab experience and critical thinking skills that I gained in that time to serve customers in meeting their data integrity and system validation challenges. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Katie. And I'm James Frankham. I'm CEO of GxP-CC. We're a compliance consulting group focused on regulatory compliance within a GxP environment. We work today. We're coming to you from Germany. We have a primary footprint in the European Union as well as in US, and we serve our customers in a lot of different topics, and also within GxP Remote Inspections. So today we'd like to show you a little bit about what our learnings were in the past with remote inspections and how we've actually handled this pandemic situation with remote inspections. Just to start off the whole point, you may see two logos on the screen. This program, the GxP Remote Inspections program, has been sponsored by the German program for Digital Jetzt. Basically, it's a government funding program which helps to digitalize processes. And together with that German sponsorship and funding program, we were able to digitalize our inspection units, our virtual inspections. So today, what we'd like to talk with you about is the case for virtual audits. And I'm just going to turn off my screen to make sure that we can conserve bandwidth and make sure that you can have the full user experience. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A button as well as the chat functions on your right. And we'll make sure to go through that today. So in the upcoming minutes, we're going to be talking with you all about the case for virtual audits, the regulator's view, so different regulatory perspectives on running virtual audits. We're going to talk a bit about remote inspection methods, how they can be executed, and what is there to consider. Some of the state of our solutions, as well as our inspection service, and how it can help you. So first off, we have a poll, and if you click on your right, you'll see that there's a little poll button out there, and it's going to pop up. And basically, we just like to know, how has your previous experience been with virtual audits, virtual inspections? Is this something that you've actually worked with prior? Is this something you have experience with, or is it a very new topic for you today? So if you could just click on one of the answers and go ahead and submit it, and then what's going to happen is we're going to be able to see that information in a poll and get a good overview.
Yeah, that's great. I'm really curious to see what everyone's experience has been so far.
Okay, so I think we have a mixed here. We have about 50% of our participants have had an audit in a third-party situation, and 25% of them have answered no within there. So we have a mix of different topics here. That's great, and thank you for that information. One of the things that we get asked is why are we focusing on virtual audits? What's really the driver behind virtual audits, and why would I need to have a virtual inspection service? Well, first and foremost, we're all in a pandemic. Since the beginning of 2020, we've been in this situation. It goes a little bit better, it goes a little bit worse. We have different waves of infection, waves going through the different countries that we're participating in. But first and foremost, the show must go on. So within the life science environment, we're very happy and very proud to be working in a life science environment, because this is one of the core industries that's helping to curb this pandemic, that's helping to work on the recovery and as well bring medicines to the people that need the most, which means manufacturing needs to continue. New services need to come out, new products need to come to market, which means there is an absolute need for inspections to continue also in a remote and a virtual capacity. Um, when we look at virtual audits, we may all notice that there's travel restrictions. It may be difficult or costly to travel. Like I said, we're coming to you from Germany today, and just yesterday, Austria has opened up again the lockdown restrictions between Austria and Germany. Now, geographically, it's not really far to get to Austria. It's just a couple of hours from where we are in Germany. But when we have lockdowns and we have travel restrictions and we're not allowed to go to a specific country without having a prolonged quarantine, it makes it very, very difficult to come in and help out our clients and our customers. So what we've built around that is a way to do it with less travel, with basically shipping out equipment, making sure that we can bring the technology to the client base and make sure that the inspectorate can hear and see what you're seeing, and be basically on in a very clear, on-demand environment. There are new technologies that have come out. So within this year of COVID pandemic, or 1.5 years of COVID pandemic, one of the biggest things that we've noticed is the increased rate of digitalization of processes, just because we needed to. The industry needed to. Everyone needed to be able to adapt to it and to get faster and to get more communicated in it. If we look at just family phone calls, which started with Zoom, and business calls, which have now moved over into Teams, within Microsoft Teams, we can see there's a lot of work being done in these new technology environments. And the same goes for virtual audits and inspections. So there's new players that have come to the market, or players that were focused on entirely different business sectors that now have updated their technology to be used in this context as well. Another great piece that we have within inspections and audits are the mutual recognition agreements. If we look at the European Union, for instance, or if we look at the MHRA as inspectorates, or also if we look at the FDA as inspectors, there are different agreements that are out there. In one case, we could go back to PIC S, looking at different ways how inspections are conducted and how information is shared between these inspectorates. And last but not least, there's a lot of great regulatory guidance that has now become available. Looking at some of the things that we noticed, the FDA has published some guidance in April of this year, which was long expected and long awaited to come out. So they got on top of that. We had a few updates to that in July. We see updates to the European guidance every few months, and we're seeing a lot of information going around the virtual inspection guidance and the virtual audit guidance, which is coming together. So it's basically here to stay, at least for right now. And this is something that we're seeing within the next 12 months as well. Why virtual audits are very, very beneficial to organizations. When we look at the regulator's view, and the different types of remote inspection capacity that's out there, there's a variety of different inspections that could be conducted in a remote inspection capacity in a virtual way. There's pre-approval inspections, there's post-approval inspections, there's surveillance inspections, there's supplier qualification audits, and there's also follow-ups and different inspections that are necessary for specific elements of the compliance area. In our travels, I always try to put this in pre-pandemic ways. With our team, we were usually in a plane every week to fly somewhere to help one of our clients in one of their sites, either within the European Union or also international to North America and Latin America, to help out our clients on different sites, on-site inspections, on-site audits. This was always very interesting, but it also kind of took a bit of a travel time to get there, and a little bit of a toll to actually make it happen. Nowadays, with remote inspection capacity and some of the things that we've built up within our service, is we're able to do it on a mouse click. So we're able to ship out the inspection gear to clients to understand what needs to be done and walk them through the processes very, very easily. And at the same point in time, we can be in North America in the morning, and we can be in Asia in the evening, or vice versa. So this is a very, very interesting time and a very interesting dynamic that we have today when we look at the regulator's view of the different types of remote inspections. One of the things that we've noticed is it's not only one regulator that's jumping onto that. It's basically all of the major regulatory units have a certain set of guidance on that. So if we see from the EMA, or we see from the FDA, or also over in Australia, the TGA or the MHRA in UK, they have all issued guidance on remote virtual inspections to understand what is most critical and what are we looking for in the virtual inspection unit, and basically what are the results that we're trying to get from there. First and foremost, it's all based on risk-based decisions. I think, Katie, we have a point on that as well when we talk a bit about inspection backlog and some of the points that are out there. But first and foremost, we want to make sure that this most critical systems, the mission critical priorities, are the ones that are inspected and are in good shape. Because at the end of the day, all of us are patients, and all of us will become patients at some point in our life. So we all rely on the quality of the products that are being manufactured, distributed, and available to us and to the general public. So this is something that it always needs to be taken in a risk-based consideration. Is it a new site? Is it an established site? How is the compliance history for that organization? Is it a for-cause inspection, or are they sterile facilities? And basically, like I said, it's something that's here to stay. When we look at the pandemic in the beginning, of course, there were many opinions and many thoughts on how long or how short it may be. There was a big wave of hope with vaccines coming out, which is great. However, as we're all learning and seeing every day, that just isn't enough. So we're noticing altogether that this pandemic is not a short-term topic. And if we see certain things like air travel, things like masks will probably be here for the next years. So when we see travel restrictions, when we see borders closing, when we see all the challenges that come with that, and of course making sure that we're all 6 feet apart, we really need to make sure that we have a tool or a tool set or an approach and a process to make sure that we can continue our operations. And making sure that remote inspections are part of it is just good compliance sense. Katie, I'll let you take this one a little bit on here about the inspection gap.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting when you look at the curve of how inspections were pre-pandemic, right? You can see that first segment of the line where it's fairly stable. And then where the line changes is post-pandemic or during the pandemic. And there's really been, of course, a substantial backlog. In this case, the data is from the FDA of the inspections that they're able to actually carry out, right? Because of this restriction in travel. So right now that backlog is actually at over 2,800 inspections if you compare it to the rate previous to the pandemic. And actually it may even be more than that because there's also been an increase in the number of filings and the FDA's overall workload. So I think that's a really important aspect of this. And it shows that the FDA and other organizations, other regulatory bodies, are going to be relying on virtual inspections to close this gap and actually have already started doing that in many cases wherever they can.
Thank you, Katie. Yeah, I think one of the big things is from any regulatory body, there is a certain level of expectation of self-governance and self-inspections, and making sure that organizations themselves are self-organizing, right? I mean, the FDA itself, yes, an inspection could be a great way to see if your quality processes are working well, but it's not necessarily something that you want to outsource to a government body, right? So this is something that you can learn yourself, you can see yourself, you can understand where are we going to. And one of the points with these backlogs is really there's been a major focus on shift within what is the most risky applications or what is the most risky um, uh, sites that need to be viewed and need to be checked. So obviously you'll see there is that big backlog there, and we are expecting this to continue well within 2022. So when we look at the future, where's it going to go? What do other organizations say? What does the PIC say? There's a really interesting PIC survey that came out where said, how would you like to approach this within the industry? How would the industry like to approach this? How would manufacturers like to approach this? And very interesting, the 28% said they would like to continue to use a certain type of remote inspection for certain activities, whereas 49%, and this was December last year, just weren't really sure yet. They didn't really know, is it here to stay? Is this a one-time thing? Is this something that we need to focus on in more detail? So yeah, spoiler alert, it's here to stay. I mean, that's one of the things that I think we've all learned and have all seen. And I think we're going to be well into 2025 before we get to certain a level of pre-pandemic travel and pre-pandemic site visits. So there needs to be something that's done differently. And there's a lot of opportunity within there as well, a lot of opportunity to do things different. A hybrid approach is preferred within inspections, which means you can have desk reviews or desktop reviews of documentation sets of information, utilizing video conferencing or screen sharing components, and even having on-site components as necessary. When we look at desktop reviews, at certain point in times, there may be a question on a certain document, right? Where an inspection is happening, and you would have your typical pre-pandemic environment. You would have a paper printout, you would have a back room, you would have a lot of people there running back and forth to get your records and to print those out and make sure that they're available for the inspector to also take a copy with them. Nowadays, that's not happening. So when we talk about desktop review, it's really more about, can you share your screen? Can you walk me through the application, your TrackWise application, your Vivas, your different quality management systems you have in place, maybe even your ERP environment? Can you walk me through there? Can you show me where these records are? And can you walk me through that process? So this is what's generally happening at a desktop review. Now, a desktop review itself, by itself, will give one perspective for the inspection. They'll give one perspective for the audit. The positive side is communication can flow even when cameras are turned on with screen sharing on. There's a certain level of interaction that can happen, and this is a very positive point. The point that's missing in a desktop review is your site walkthrough, the understanding of what's happening. And this is more from an internal, I'm going to even say an internal inspection preparation point, or even if you want to look at supplier management. If you're looking only at documents, that's a great perspective, but it would also be nice to see the facility, also have a chance to walk around to see what's going on. And this is where remote inspections come in. So remote inspections can be very helpful with not only looking at documents, but also having a chance to see different environments, walk through, listen, filter, and see where are some of the components in there. Just a personal experience. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, we had multiple inspections going on, or multiple audits that we needed to support our clients with, and one of them we needed to fly in, and to get on site, we had to, of course, gown up and make sure we were in full gear, but we couldn't fly over our whole audit team. So what we had done is we had prepped our phones together with the client so that we could have some type of a recording environment or a live streaming environment to our audit team who was sitting in another location because of the intense travel restrictions. Um, yeah, let me make that long story short. It was not fun. It was not fun for the site personnel. It wasn't fun for the team members on the ground, and it wasn't fun for the audit support team as well. It was noisy. It was very very loud, very condensed in environments, and just understanding what do you need to see now, what can I show you now. This back and forth interaction was not the quality that we were used to when we can see on-site live walkthroughs helping out clients with that. This is one of the reasons why we said we want to digitalize this process and build a way so that we can work together hand in hand with clients and make sure that they can have the high-end experience. Also, sitting remotely, and having everyone come together in one way. We'll talk about that later on a little bit. Looking again at the regulatory view, right? The regulator's view of how to actually run through one of these inspections, very, very similar to the other ones we have. The first piece is there's a decision that needs to be done. What is the impact? It's a risk analysis. What is the feasibility? What are we looking for in this environment? What are we looking for in these sites? Which ones are the most critical ones that we have to do? If we look back at that backlog slide, you'll understand how it comes together. There's literally thousands of sites that still need to be inspected and still need to be reviewed. But the big question is which are the most critical ones that I can go to with my team that we have today. And then the preparation is there. It's clear what type of inspection, what is the agenda, what is the scope, where is it going to be, and of course we have the execution through the technological requirements. And at the end, we have the reporting in place. So this is basically the process that we walk through into this type of inspection. And there's three main areas here that we've noticed. One is the on-site, which we still say, if possible, absolutely conduct an on-site audit. It will give you an on-site inspection or an on-site walkthrough or an on-site client supplier evaluation. This will give you a full 360 feeling for the environment. It'll let you understand how are the team members running in the organization. It'll help you understand how are, of course, the documents created. But I always say an on-site inspection brings the documents to life. It's much, much more than just looking at a two-dimensional view of a screen. You can actually dive in, you can listen, you can hear, you can ask questions, you can maybe even deviate from the beaten path to understand what else is going on. So absolutely the top would be an on-site inspection to go through. Hybrid inspections or remote inspections. These are the things, if possible, there's only maybe one person on site or a small team on site to walk through and guide certain areas. And remote is really, okay, we kind of got to just share WebEx, or we're going to have a Teams screen, or maybe even via phone to make sure to understand what are the main things. Some of the challenges that we've seen is how are those documents going to be reviewed? Again, pre-pandemic, you would have a back room. You would have boxes of documents available. They would be handed over, and they would be reviewed in detail later on for reporting purposes within the whole inspection process, how it works. Nowadays, yeah, how am I going to send those? We just send them via email. You know what I use? My Gmail account, and let me just upload some of my most critical attachments. Probably not a good idea, but we have seen that in the first part of the inspections, right? What we use is we use secure we use secure technologies to actually upload files to make sure that we can use secure share rooms and secure environments, making sure that only certain people can read them. So basically vaults to make sure that only certain people can get access to the documents, so that a client can see who had access to the documents, what did they do with it, did they have download access, did they have read access, did they open it up 25 times. All these type of things can be done with the technology that we have today, that is available today. But again, as the pandemic started, a lot of this was very ad hoc and needed to be solved very fast. Within facility reviews, we've seen it before. Certain sites use uploaded photos or also pre-recorded videos. There's some really nice technology out there to help make 360-degree videos. Basically, you can stand it in the middle of your facility. You can record the different areas, and if you need to do a basic, I would say, client facility tour, you could say, hey, I'll show you the video of that. But here's the piece with that. You want to make sure that you're getting the live environment, right? You want to know what's happening today at the production, not what happens in the best case, but what happens all the other days. That's really what you're looking for in that inspection. And when you're looking at, let's say, your supplier qualification. So of course you could use live streaming via apps on your phone, you could use tablets, or you can use different glasses technologies, which we'll be introducing to you today as well. So there are many ways to do this, yeah, a lot of advantages. So the main advantages of remote inspections, when we look at it, we can have many more participants available, more working in parallel. Again, if I take the classical pre-pandemic environment, you would have a room, right? You'd have your table mapped out. You'd know who's sitting exactly where. In the best case, you'd know exactly what is that auditor or inspector wanting for lunch, dinner, and how they like their tea or coffee. And you could basically cater around that and even give them a seat that they have a very small vantage point of where you want them to be. Then usually in the back, you'd have your back office and your inspection preparation room, your back room, where you'd have at times mayhem, right? Because everyone wants to make sure that document is available at that moment when it's required. Nowadays, that changes. The dynamic changes. Nowadays, we're all virtual, right? So you can very clearly say, who do I want to invite into this inspection? The people may be as today. Maybe some of you are in the office. Maybe some of you are at home. Maybe some of you are traveling and on the way, and you still need to be participating in this. So it could be a live stream environment like this to make sure that everyone can be participating in it, seeing, observing, and also learning from the inspection. Reduction travel cost, just like this webinar today. There's no travel required to get there. Of course, you have your health and safety of your own team members as well as the auditor and inspectors to make sure that you have no physical exposure to be on site. And yeah, one of the advantages is you can have flexibility within the work schedules. So when the audits and the inspections are actually planned, there's usually a clear schedule. One of the things that we've noticed is it's not only a 3-day topic anymore. We've even seen virtual audits go on for 3 weeks up to 4 weeks, and the reason is they're not 8 hours a day sitting there trying to go through the point. They're smaller meetings which are focused on very individual specific points. So it allows a lot more flexibility, also from the inspectorate as well as a supplier qualification. Looking from a sponsor organization to a supplier organization to say, how can we dive into specific points and then come back to those again until we get satisfactory results or understand what exactly is happening. Some of the remote inspection challenges, of course, it's not always positive. There are some things there. There may be time zone differences. Time zone differences can be challenging on both sides. Right. So again, pre-pandemic, yeah, I think all of us were in airport lounges and enjoying the wonderful coffee you can get at 4 o'clock in the morning. But then again, Nowadays, we can just switch it with a time zone difference, which means it's still 4 o'clock in the morning, but I'm in my own house and I can manage the things. So this is one of the things there within time zone differences. There may be delays in receipt of requested documents. If the screen is shared directly, if there is a vault, if there's a secure location to upload files, that challenge can be countered. But it could also be, I have to find it. We have to download. We have to find a way. I have to somehow get it emailed to you or get it into your hands so you can see it. One of the other points here, the inability to see facial expressions and body language. So inspectorates are actually trained on understanding facial inspections and facial expressions and body language to see, is this a person who's being interviewed? Is there just a certain level of nervousness there, or is there maybe something else that's happening? So this is one of the points there. I talked a little bit about inspection duration. So inspection durations may take longer, and we have seen that. So like I said, we've seen them 3 weeks, we've seen them 4 weeks. And audio issues was one of the biggest challenges we encountered and why we actually wanted to build this service. Because going in with a phone and trying to explain at a shop floor is very, very, very difficult. Good. So these are some of the things that are out there. And Katie, I think we have another poll.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from our audience which of these virtual audit challenges are the biggest concerns for you. What are you concerned about when you think about perhaps conducting a virtual audit in the future? We'll just give a minute for people to add in their responses. I think with a lot of these, these are all very valid concerns, right, James?
Absolutely.
And really important. And we definitely need to figure out then strategies that allow us to overcome these challenges and really get the most out of what virtual audits do have to offer, because I think that they also have a lot of great points, as you were talking about.
So I think we're already seeing a trend in our poll, right? Data privacy considerations and internet connection issues. That's the two to have the most responses on there.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you think about, these are also two areas where there are really great technologies that can help us to deal with that gap and overcome it, right? You can have a secure meeting and file sharing platform like you've been talking about, James. You can use technologies to make sure that your internet connectivity on site is boosted, right? You can have hotspots available. You can use other ways of ensuring that that connectivity is going to be really strong. There's also these, like you were just saying, James, instead of relying on a smartphone, there are new interfaces now that can facilitate a more natural interaction between the two parties. Things like smart glasses, which I think are a really promising area, and that we've wanted to build into our service as well. Okay, thanks everybody for your answers to the poll. That's really great. So I'm really glad that I can then introduce the system that we're using to give our customers all these advantages of virtual audits and overcome these challenges. So we've created a service with the Expert Eye software. This is from AMA Digital Accelerator. And we offer 3 different packages with this, just depending on the needs of the client. This is all centered around software as a service, with the option to also have smart glasses for hands-free collaboration between parties. And I think that's really what one of the big things that sets this service apart and brings it into this new era of really utilizing all the technology that is available out there. So I'll go through these 3 different packages and what their strong points are, when you would want to be using each of them. The first one is the Lite, and that is basically utilizing the software as a service and you can run it on your own device that's already within the facility. So this can be really great for a situation, and maybe you're in a restricted lab environment, you might have a clean room situation, for example, and you want to really control what goes in and out. It's completely possible to just use the devices that are already available, that your personnel already know, and use the software to connect with the offsite inspector. So you can see a little bit here in the graphic how this would work. You've got your on-site personnel on the left. They've got their own device, maybe it's a tablet, and they're able to share video either one-on-one with the offsite inspector who's on the right here pictured, or also in a conference mode if necessary, with as many people as are needed for this audit. And it's super easy for them to just send either by email or SMS or simple link sharing an invitation so that the personnel on site are able to come into the software and share their video. There's also this really nice aspect where people are able to annotate the video that they're seeing on the screen. And so it facilitates, again, that more natural interaction between the parties that I think is incredibly important when you're in a virtual setting. And of course, it's really also a good option for real-time document review, as you were saying, James. Having this secure platform, you can look at everything in real time, just as you would if you were sitting right there. You would ask for certain documents, maybe you would ask people to walk you through the system. And with the file sharing and the screen sharing capabilities, really nothing's changed. The second package is with the Essential, and this now adds on top the extra layer of having this hands-free headset. It also has voice control, so the operator in the facility on the left is able to interact with the equipment as they normally would. We also have lab compliant headset options like maybe a silicone band for a microbiology setting or a safety helmet when that's required. And you can see in this expanded view at the bottom, you can see a closer view of the headset. There's this front-facing camera there with a built-in microphone, and it also has a flashlight attached. So you've got live video streams and audio. And then in this adjustable arm underneath the camera, there's actually the smart glasses interface that comes out and extends in front of the operator's eye. And the great thing about this is that the operator on site is able to also see what they're sharing, how the video looks, if they're pointing at the right place or if they're looking off accidentally in some other part. And it also allows them to see what the inspector might be annotating on the screen. So in this case here, they've drawn an example where they've circled an area of the video feed, and the person on site's able to see that right away. So again, this very natural interaction between the parties. And then the last package is the Advanced. And with this one, you have on top of the smart glasses an additional smartphone interface. So it gives you a little more flexibility in terms of an additional touchscreen. And it also supports a wider range of video sources, which you can just plug into the USB-C port on the smartphone. So we include an endoscope in that package. This is really useful for maybe looking inside of any small spaces like tubes, if you want to inspect their cleanliness, just as you would if you were on site. We also include a microscope that's very simple to use, and that would allow you to do things like taking a detailed look at the integrity of your labware or your machinery. Again, checking for these kinds of integrity issues, just as you would if you were really there. And you can pretty much plug in any other specialized cameras that you might need for your unique situation, maybe something like UV or infrared or thermal. This is all a possibility with this system. And that's one of the things that I really like about it. So with all of these packages, there's also some standard features that are always available. The first one is, again, that fully secure software as a service. I think that's a super key aspect of this for our clients. It uses SSL and TLS encryption, and it's compliant with both HDS in Europe and HIPAA in the US, all of those requirements. You're able to do that one-on-one call or also do a conference call with as many people as you need on your audit team. And we also include a Wi-Fi hotspot with our essential and our advanced kits so that you can really be sure that you're not going to have any connectivity interruptions as you go through the audit. And that can be really helpful and cut down on some of the frustration that sometimes arises when you have some technological problems. We've also developed really simple user instructions because we want our customers to just be able to plug and play all of this without a whole lot of extra onboarding time. There's also an offline mode, and that lets you record video for your knowledge management. So this might be, if you're doing a mock audit or a self audit, it could be really valuable to save that and be able to gather lessons learned for the real thing. There's also a confidential mode, and that means that no participants are able to download or save any of the media, the video, the pictures that are generated during the process of the audit. And of course, that protects your IP. The Expert Eye supports 15 different languages throughout Asia, Europe, and the Americas. So it's also something that's really easy to utilize in a lot of situations around the globe. So I'm really glad that we have been able to build this service up, James. I think it's going to be something that's really takes virtual inspections to the next level.
Absolutely. Thank you, Katie. Yeah, those 15 languages. I mean, that's also how we operate within our audit environment. So we are an international, multinational team, making sure that we can help with an inspection in Brazil on one side and in Singapore on in the evening. So that's really the way that we're set up and that we're geared. And for us, this step and this technology that we found is actually very, very impactful. So this is something we could easily develop into our services because we want to continue to help within the inspection readiness and within the certified qualified supplier units. And this is a really big game changer for us. I remember when the pandemic first hit and a lot of the questions came up with, well, are we still going to drive to sites? Are we still going to go there? And it was actually overnight where clients started calling us and saying, can you please send us something? Can you please come up with something we need? We need the support. Where entire clusters of just one story to go with that. We had entire clusters of manufacturing personnel had to be taken out of a 24/7 production unit because unfortunately one of the team members tested positive. And then what happened is an entire cluster needed to be taken out. And we were there to help our clients to say, look, we can help you retrain your personnel. We can do that. And in the beginning, I mean, this was all over Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and it was bumpy. Right? It was not easy, but this technological solution, this really helps us to get those type of scenarios up and running in a matter of hours rather than a matter of days.
Yeah, that's fantastic, James. So whether our participants here today utilize that service or not, can we share some steps for success with them for any virtual inspection?
Absolutely. I mean, the main things here, right? 3 steps, right? Planning, making sure you have it in place, making sure you can execute it right. But most important, right? What is your scope? What's your time schedule? What is your goal within the audit? What do you want to do? Do you want to get a better insight? Do you want to see what's going on? Do you need to focus on a specific point that may have occurred in the CAPA, and you really need to follow up on that and see what's happening? Of course, the contracts and NDAs need to be in place. You want to make sure that the people that you're bringing in are the right people, and of course that all the non-disclosure agreements and all the other documents are in place and ready to go well in advance if possible. From a technical standpoint, here's where we say technology, 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 right? You want to be state of the art. I think we're all getting state of the art injections today or nowadays. So we really want to also help within that industry to exploit new technologies and make sure that we can move them forward. Testing prior to inspection is always important. What we do when we send out our packages, we actually have a short training session scheduled with our clients to make sure that everyone understands what are the components. And we've actually configured things to be as easy as possible. So our goal together with our clients is we want you to be able to send it, turn it on, and that's it. All right, turn it on, put it on. When you're done, you put it back in a box, you send it back, and we can go through and sterilize it and make sure that we're always sending out safe new equipment, safe new things to the clients. Execution, right? As with anything in business and in life, communication is a key factor. Make sure that it's really clear what is expected, where are we going through, and if it's not understood, of course, ask, and make sure that you have the expert support with you. Right, so someone who's going to be your scribe, someone who's going to be your note taker, your interpreters, if necessary, your moderators, and it's not, we're not saying you can either do an on-site inspection or you can do remote. You can really mix and match and bring them together. They all have their value, and I think that's a big piece. And it's a new tool, it's a new way of looking at things, and it's a whole new opportunity to manage facility audits and inspections, as well as helping with the regulatory readiness as well.
That's great, James. And regarding having that expert support, I think that can really be a key thing when we're talking about a virtual audit, especially if it's the first time that someone's doing one. You know, I think that it is a little bit different. The schedule of preparation is different. The logistics are different. So I think that can be really a great advantage to utilize having expert support in the room.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we still have a few more minutes for questions and answers. So I think feel free to let us know if you have any questions, to use the chat functions or the Q&A. And Katie, do we have anything already?
Let's have a look here. Not yet. In the meantime, I can just share one thing that I found really cool. It's been really cool working with this expert eye system, getting to know it, getting to see how it works. And one of the things that I really like about it is the way that you can really just invite anybody. Like there isn't a whole lot of kind of an onboarding curve when it comes to this, right? The person operating the headset, of course, needs to do that once just to see how it works. But all the other people that are involved in the audit, you can just send them a link. They don't even need the software on their device. They can just click right into that link, and they're right there in the audit. And it's very intuitive, I think, to just be able to show up and use it.
Another request that we do get for clients is, well, do you have any demos? Do you have any live demos you can conduct with this? And I think we have one scheduled also for next week to walk a client through this topic. So for those of you participating in the call, if you'd like to get a demo, if you'd like to understand more of what this is and how it works, and actually get a chance to see it, give us a call, write us an email. Our information's here on the slide as well. We're on LinkedIn. Just reach out. We'll be happy to customize a demo for you as well, to give you a hands-on experience. What are some of the tools that we talked about? You can see the internet speed. You can see how the latency is working, and we'll be really happy to exchange that with you as well. So, Katie, I think that's it. So
yeah,
yes,
great, James.
Thank you everyone for attending. Katie, I'll just let you wrap it up if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming. As James said, of course, reach out to us anytime with any of your questions, and we're happy to help. So we wish you all a great afternoon and take care.
Thank you, everyone, and take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.